Now, I'm just going to do a short section on how we use Flow to turbocharge Scrum, Agile, Lean, Kanban. It's primarily, we're going to just talk about Scrum here. I'm actually going to do a complete separate set of how to use Flow with Agile to raise your opportunities for success to the next level. And I allude to this in the video series that I did for why would you use Flow, okay? And so we're not going to go into that again here, but we're going to talk a little bit about primarily Scrum, since it's used for somewhere between 70 to 75% of all Agile. And this is based on the surveys that they've been doing for about the last 12 years. The numbers go up and down. Right now it's roughly 72% for 2019. So most of you have seen this. If you are a member of Scrum Alliance, this comes straight from their website. So I'm giving them attribution. You've got your product backlog. You do your sprint planning. You create your sprint backlog. You go through a 2 to 4 week iteration called a sprint. You have daily stand-ups or standoffs, as one of my friends from China like to say. You have your daily stand-ups, and then you do a review for the potentially shippable product increment. And remember, when I talk about product, it's product, service, or result. And then you do a retrospective, and you're going to, from that retrospective, share things back upstream with your leadership, or you're going to put them into your product backlog, and you're going to choose probably one of the items to work on during the next sprint to see if it can be improved. So I'm going to show how we turbocharge Scrum using Flow's 4D model and the VSPT model together. We start with your basic Scrum process, and then I'm going to show you how this works. Your product backlog should encompass the entire vision of your product. I'm using, I think it was from the Agile Warrior. Down below you see the 3 little individuals there. And again, language and definitions and distilling agreement is absolutely essential if you're actually going to deliver. Because as things are put in the product backlog, you've got that cool looking product owner there, and they've put in this diamond that is like the gold colored diamond. And the product owner, not the product owner, the Scrum Master is going, is this a blue triangle? And then the developer is looking at this going, are we doing a green circle? But you put the definitions in there and you create the product backlog. And in the product backlog should contain the vision for your entire product, service, or result that you're trying to deliver. And you may even put strategies and tactics and things like that into your product backlog if you're going to be helping with marketing type things. Then distillation occurs. So now we've moved from vision and strategy down to people and tasks. You're going to distill via sprint planning an agreed upon sprint backlog. So the sprint backlog will contain a distilled list of agreed to items. And so down below you'll see our 3 team members again, the product owner, Scrum Master, and developer. And as they talk about a product backlog item and move it into the sprint backlog, they're looking at that and they're like going, well, wait a second. I was talking about a yellow diamond, the Scrum Master was talking about a blue triangle, and the developer thought it was a green circle. But upon further discussion and further distillation, they realized that no, what we're actually talking about is that it's purple and the shape is actually a star. And so when they've distilled agreement over what it is that they want to achieve, you put it into the sprint backlog. After the sprint backlog has been agreed to, the team will then move into the delivery mode, and you'll notice that it's still up there with the VSPT. We're still with the people and tasks. And so you're going to do your 2 to 4 week increment, sprint, and hopefully daily stand-ups. Now, everyone down there on the team should be in agreement about what it is that we're delivering. Finally, at the end, you're going to come full circle, and you notice that we switch on the VSPT, we switch back from people and tasks back to vision and strategy for this part. For the review, it used to be called demo. You're coming in full circle, and you need to make sure that the increment that you just delivered for the product or service result that you're trying to do, that's either going to save you money, make you money, decrease risk, and or help you do the right thing, all of that needs to be double checked here at the end of each 2 to 4 week increment. And by doing this, this is a way that we are able to, by focusing on vision, vision is what's missing in most of the Agile methodologies. They're doing what they're doing. The product owner might have a good, clear vision of what they want to do. Whether or not the team has gone through the distillation process to actually agree on what we're going to deliver, that is not necessarily a given. So distillation is key for making your Agile work, regardless of which parts of this you happen to use or not use. And this is why the vision is so important. And I already said this at the beginning. The product backlog should encompass the entire vision for the product. And Ted and I have taught that for 25 years. And so this is the same picture. I drew it on a flip chart. You'll see that we have vision strategy with the disconnect lines here. This is actually probably drawn a little bit better. People, tasks, and then back to vision and strategy. And you'll see it all begins with the vision. You got your big product backlog, you got your team. They're distilling the sprint backlog via sprint planning. You go to delivery and you do your 2 to 4 week increments with your daily Scrum meetings or daily standoffs. And you end up with your incremental product, service, or result. And it could be potentially shippable and all those good things. And then you do the sprint review and the sprint retro. And both the review and the retro need to tie you back to the sprint goals and to the vision. If you're not linking it back to the vision, then you could be able to deliver things quickly and still be delivering the wrong thing. This is exactly what happened with one of the customers that I worked with in the last couple of years, where they'd been using Agile for 9, almost 10 years. They were trained by the best, and yet they were able to get things out the door quickly, but the teams were getting demoralized and discouraged because, yes, they were getting things quickly out the door, but what they were getting quickly out the door was wrong. And so if you go back to the flow, anti-flow slide that we talked about many videos ago, they were down in the right-hand corner where they were able to just shoot things out the door lightning fast, but the vision was wrong or the vision was unclear. And so they were delivering the wrong things often, more often than they should. And so it began a downward spiral, and we were brought in to help with the reboot and try to breathe some life back into the teams and back into the organization. But that organization did not embrace the fact that down in that organization corner of the box that we've used so many times, we did surveys and we did interviews, and we gathered all the information, and it was stunning. Almost all of the work that needed to be done was down in the organization box. But instead of the executives taking that and being serious about it and saying, oh, we need to change. Ooh, this is a big backlog. Instead of doing that, they delegated it out. And you want to know what happened? Yeah, you're right. Absolutely nothing, because the minute that they delegated it back out, they violated the walk. That means everybody knew that they were just talking the talk. They were not walking the walk, that they weren't within the journey. And that is why people started leaving and telling the organization, thanks, no thanks, I'm going to go work someplace else, and hopefully they'll have a little bit better culture. And, you know, it's usually you jump out of the frying pan and into the fire when you do that. But it's going to take a long time for that organization to change when the leadership refuses to acknowledge that they are the ones that need to make the change. So you can have the best Scrum ever, you can have it turbocharged using flow, and you can be shooting things out at light speed, but if the vision is either fractured, missing, or broken, you're going to be delivering the wrong things, and your teams are going to get discouraged, and it all comes back to leadership. And I don't know how much more we can hammer on that, but it really boils down to the leadership of the company. And I'm trying to encourage the leaders to look at, okay, look in the mirror and ask yourself the question, am I the problem? That's a tough exercise to do. Most leaders, frankly, don't have the capacity or the capability to be able to do that. But for those organizations that do have the leaders that are willing to go on that journey and make those changes, the downstream results will be stunning and remarkable, because we've seen that happen over and over again, that when the leadership is with and they actually walk the talk and they just don't talk the talk, when they actually get down in there and do what they're supposed to do and create the supportive management that needs to be there and demonstrate courage and true servant leadership, those are the organizations that are still going to be here, while every 10 years, 25% of the Fortune 500 is hitting the rubbish piles because the leadership was either unwilling or unable to change. So ultimately, the choice is yours as the leaders, but you need to be crystal clear about this, that it takes courage and it takes commitment to say, okay, I'm going to go on this journey. I'll do the change with you. I'm not perfect, but hey, let's learn this together. If you're already halfway to agreeing to do that, you're going to win. The next 6 slides come from the slide presentations and videos that I've done for using flow to transform your organization. So if you want to see the entire 4 hours of how you do transformation and the difference between transformation as far as a mindset versus a tool set, and rollout and governance and all those areas, then I would encourage you to look at those videos, because if you're going to be working as an Agile coach and or an enterprise Agile coach, you're going to need to understand the difference between those four, because transformation is mindset, scaling is tool set, and here we're going to talk a little bit about the four lenses of the transformation, and the next slide has 17 tiles or puzzle pieces, or if they were circles they would be plates, like the plate spinner at the circus. You'll hear me talking quite a bit about that during the transformation video series. Each of those tiles uses the four lenses, and that includes the individual, the team, the product, and the organization areas, those four boxes that are in the each of the items for transformation. But go ahead and watch these next 6 slides, and that will be the part for transformation that you'll need to understand as far as the Flow Certified Professional part goes. But for the FCPs, I am requiring that you also watch the full 4 hours of the transformation if you're going to be certified as a Flow Certified Professional. So you're going to watch it anyways. But when you get to those to these slides in that video, you can just sort of fast forward and continue to go. So there's a little bit of overlap here.